So for beginner, you have adverbs of frequency, comparatives, very basic, simple sentence structures. Familiar with adjectives, use of definite articles and superlatives and comparatives. Intermediate, you have adverbs, conditionals, connecting words expressing cause, effect, contrast. And then in advanced, you have mixed conditionals in past, present, and future, phrasal verbs, passive forms. And if you, the tutor, don't know the definition of all of these terms, there is a lot of information like within the slides, like even on this specific slide in the speaker notes, there's a link explaining all of this. And then of course at the resources slide at the end of the presentation also has a lot of this information. Lesson development, it's the same, understanding the basics, using the knowledge, practice grammar and lessons or activities, and then providing homework. So it's just understanding the basics, so more teaching, using the knowledge, kind of low risk practices for the student, practice grammar and lessons, so more melding of like higher risk like activities and worksheets that's more challenging alongside you still teaching them, and then providing homework at the end of the lesson. And then here's an example specific to grammar. So going over grammar basics, looking at examples. And since grammar is so vast, this would probably be like a specific grammar topic instead of like all grammar. And then answering questions. I mean, that's kind of related to a lot of other stuff we look at anyways, but the second one, answering questions, finishing statements and writing. Long writing prompts, correction paragraphs, and then assigning worksheets would be like the final. And the assigning worksheets could also be like similar to what you did here, like writing prompts, correction paragraphs. And a lot of this is just practice that you can even apply into the homework. So looking at the grammar lesson sample, our kind of general topic is camping, and we have like some vocab and stuff for that. But it's not too heavily touched on in the worksheets I have like shown the activities. Yeah, okay, so the leading reading lesson plan for this presentation. So the first section is warm up with simple English conversation. So just kind of the usual, how you would enter your teaching environment with. Also, I'm sorry, my cat snores. Just like speaking casually with your student, like, how was your weekend? Tell me about school, just like conversations. And you could even try incorporating new grammar. Section 2, go over the new grammar topic and work the grammar practice and activities. And even with section 1, like you could say, like, if you're trying to incorporate some past, you can ask, how was your weekend? And they would have to use past grammars and conjunctions. Section 3, and then independent work, time on reading comprehension. So section 3 is probably the longest section of the lesson, since it's a lot of independent work for the student rather than you actively teaching them. Some vocabulary in this lesson. This is just related to camping that you can use for reference if you're developing a similar lesson. And then keep in mind when practicing grammar. So here's some content. There's the 8 parts of speech, which are nouns, pronouns, adjectives, verbs, adverbs, prepositions, conjunctions, and articles. Then homophones, which homophones is really like an umbrella term. There's a lot of like sub genres of homophones, really. So they're homophones as a definition are words that are pronounced the same way but have different meanings. Sometimes they're spelled identically and sometimes they aren't. And And then conjugation, the variation of the form of a verb conjugated in the same manner. There's a definition, like has, have, has, depending on the context of like the subject. Like you say, I have, he has, we have, or it could be like past, present, future, subjunctive, preterite. It varies with all of that. And then adjectives versus adverbs. Adjectives describe, oh, this is also relating to the parts of speech. Adjectives describe and identify people, things, while adverbs modify verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs, and just like differentiating parts of speech and grammar topics from one another, especially if they're similar like that. Okay, looking at some practice, we have just like applying what we just looked at for keeping in mind. Adjectives, adverbs. He is a slow driver, so that's an adjective. He drives slowly, adverb, where it's an adjective for a verb, adverb, because it's describing an action. And then homophones example, they saw a brown bear, or they walked with their bare feet. So that's a homophone where they are spelled differently. Where this is a homophone where they're spelled the same. So she hailed the taxi versus it hailed last night. And then conjugation example, she has two cats versus she have two cats. And then you can, that could be like a fill in, all of this can be like fill in the blank type practice where you can like have, they saw a brown blank, and you can put like in parentheses bear / bear and have different spellings. Whereas this one, you can say she has two cats, or you can say she blank two cats, and then in parentheses have like to have, and then have them like conjugate it. If you think of to have as like the root verb. Here is the second practice. So this is a matching. So you could just give them like this type worksheet, and then they themselves could say like, oh, my friends, draw a line. My friends means they, like the pronoun. The girl, she, the cat, it, you and I, we, you and Bob, and so on. Okay. And here's the third one. This is just some clips of different grammar worksheets that you can reference. So this one on the top, can you speak Spanish? And then that's a question, and then it would be an answer where you already begin this statement. Can you speak Spanish? Yes, I can. And then they would take, this is mostly just can and couldn't statements. And it could even be applied like did. Most of the time the verb is already in the statement or the question. Like, can you speak Spanish? Did Bob go for a jog yesterday? No, he didn't, etc. You kind of do what you want with that. And then this one, adverbs of frequency. So here it even has like a chart of adverbs of frequency. And then the actual worksheet is down here. It says, my brother is never sad, he is always happy. So it's a statement, and it gives you like context clues for what adverb of frequency you can put in there. And then this last one, grammar error correction. So this kind of relates back to what I said before, where it's like a correction paragraph where they can look at a block of text or a sentence and like point out the errors within it. And I think that's probably, that could be like a more advanced one, but it really just depends on how you develop the practice for your student. Okay, and then this one, just if you go back to this presentation later, you can look at this slide and develop your own kind of lesson. And this relates back to the camping thing. And this you can kind of utilize the vocabulary more, like where are they, or where are we, who are we with, what are we doing? And you can say, a lot of these are like root verbs, like to swim. You can conjugate that, making s'mores, so to make s'mores, to hike with friends, etc. And it's just kind of some inspiration. And then finally, this is like a video that you can look at. It's optional. It's in the presentation. Talking about the basics of grammar. And you can probably use this, like show it to your student, but you can also, sorry, it lagged. You can show it to your student like within class, or you can look at it yourself and use the content addressed in it in your own lessons. And just base your lesson around it. But finally, if my laptop will stop lagging, oh my goodness. Oh, assigning homework is very important. And, you know, between your tutoring sessions, it's good to assign homework so your student doesn't get rusty or anything. Be considerate of your student's schedule. And if you notice a problem with them not doing their homework, make sure to talk to them, talk to the guardian, email their guardian. But yeah, homework is very useful. And yeah, just make sure to take some time to develop assignments, either worksheets or listening comprehension, that you find off the internet, that you make yourselves, etc. And finally, looking at the reading resources. I'm not going to link this because it's a lot, but here's some like information like about grammar, and some lesson examples, and then some activities that you can do, reading activities. And then finally, like some curriculum, like sample curriculums and lesson plans are in this. Okay, so now that we've gone through the presentation, I'm going to open up the rooms. Today, Saswa isn't here. There.